Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Welcome to my new lecture. Let's talk about the fatty acids. Fatty acids are the long chain carboxylic acids, typically at contain 12 to 18 carbon atoms. So practically the fatty acid, they are insoluble in water, and it may be saturated or unsaturated. Fatty acid can be classified into two categories. The first one is saturated fatty acid and the second one is unsaturated fatty acids. So fatty acids, saturated fatty acids are those fatty acids which contains, when there is a single carbon bonds, they are present between two carbon atoms, so they are solids at room temperatures. So as we have already discussed all these things in alkenes, alkanes and alkynes. So as the same case with alkanes, which are saturated hydrocarbon, so fatty acids, so they are also saturated, which contain single bond, and they are solid at room temperature. And then now you can see the structure of the fatty acid. This one is the long structure of the fatty acids, and different fatty acids have different molecular weights, different melting points, density, physicochemical properties, and many and more. While the second one is unsaturated fatty acids. So unsaturated fatty acids are those which contain more or double bond. You can see here there is a double bond present between two carbon atoms, while in this case there is a single bond present between two carbon atoms. The difference between saturated fatty acid and unsaturated is very simple. So in saturated fatty acid they are solid at room temperature, while in unsaturated fatty acid they are liquid at room temperature. And you can see, so there is a big difference between their structure activity relationship. Now you can see here is also a double bond and there is hydroxyl group, while it is a clear difference in their structural formula. Now come to all the chemical tests which are usually performed for the fatty acids. So the first one is solubility in polar and non-polar solvents, while the second one is emulsification, and then oxidation of the unsaturated fatty acid, and then qualitative analysis of detection in natural products. The first one is solubility in polar and non-polar solvents. Reagents are used to perform different type of activities. So that is olive oil. So olive oil, so it may be vegetative oil or it may be butter, that is called animal fats. While stearic acid, that is also unsaturated fatty acids, saturated fatty acids, and oleic acids, unsaturated fatty acids. Normally the solvents used for the different type of activities, dilute acid and alkali solutions, they are used. Cold alcohols can be used, hot alcohol, benzenes and chloroforms, ether, and as well as carbon tetrachloride. So these are the reagents which are used for different type of procedures which are performed for the fatty acids. So in first procedure, there are three steps which are involved in order to perform this activity. So first of all, we will add 2 drops of liquid fats or 0.1 gram of the solid fat in level test tubes. After that, to each test tube, add 1 ml of solvent and write down your observations. Either the fatty acid is soluble or not. That's why to each test tube we will add 1 ml of solvent and write down your observations. And after that, eventually, so we will repeat the experiment with the different solvents and make your observation. Second one is emulsifications. For emulsifications, different reagents are used like neutral olive oil, 0.5% sodium carbonate Na2CO3, and rancid olive oil. The simple procedure which is performed for emulsifications, so that is, first of all, you should shake up a drop of neutral olive oil with a little water in a test tube. The fats become finely divided, forming an emulsions. Upon standing, fat separates and rise to the top. So as we know that pharmaceutics are pharmaceutically, thermodynamically the most unstable system, that is suspensions. And simple words, you can say, which is a biphasic system in which one phase is dispersed and dispersion mediums. So one is oil in the second, one is water. So in emulsions, so there are two immiscible liquids. So immiscible liquid, they couldn't mix with one another. So by the addition of emulsifying agents, these immiscible liquids, so there is form a layer on the surface of the water. So just like the procedure which we are performing here, the same is procedures. So the second one is to add 5 ml water in a test tube and add 2 to 3 drops of 0.5% sodium carbonate, and then introduce a drop of neutral olive oil in shake. So the emulsion is not permanent and it is not so transitory. So after that, repeat the step 2 using rancid olive oil. So in this case, the alkali combines with the free fatty acid to form soap, and the soap being an emulsifying agent, so it emulsifies the fats. As we know that an emulsion is a mixture of 2 or more liquids that are normally immiscible, which are not mixables. So for example, the bile salts, which are synthesized from the cholesterols and stored in the gallbladder. So when you eat fats, so the bile salts act as a soap and help emulsifying the large globules of the fats. Two immiscible liquids not yet emulsified, an emulsion of phase 2 disperse and phase 1, while the unstable emulsion progressively separates and the surfactant stabilizing the emulsion. Now you can see here, this one is the actually the emulsion, and these are the two immiscible liquids which do not mix with one another, while in this case you can say the bile salts which are synthesized from the cholesterol, and then they are just, you can say, in the form of globules. And you can see here now these globules, they are just seen here. You can see the different situations. So to immiscible liquid, they are not yet emulsified, and then the phase 2 will be dispersed in phase 1. The unstable emulsion is progressively separates. So how this is the by the addition of surfactants, which are called surface active agents. So the surfactants stabilizing the emulsions. Now this is the surfactants with stabilizing the emulsion. Then oxidation of the unsaturated fatty acids. So how the unsaturated fatty acids can be oxidized? First of all, so it will be taken into the test tube. So place 1 drop of oil and 3 ml of sodium carbonate. Warm it slightly and drop the solution of potassium permanganate. So after each drop, the violet color disappears. So the end of the reaction recognized by the PPT, precipitation brown solid manganese oxides. So this is clear. This one is negative while this one is positive. So at the end of the reaction, we will recognize the precipitate, the brown precipitate solid manganese oxides. Another one is qualitative analysis of detection in natural products. This is very simple. Flow sheet diagram. This is lipid. So lipid may be fatty acid, it may be glyceride. So fatty acid is further divided into two. One is saturated fatty acid and this one is unsaturated fatty acids. So like we have already talked about the stearic acid and oleic acid. So one is saturated fatty acid, second one is unsaturated fatty acid. Then glycerides, they are divided into two. One is neutral glycerides and the second one is phosphoglycerides. Furthermore, the lipids may be non-glycerides lipids and complex lipids. So the complex lipids are lipoproteins which are conjugated. So the non-glyceride lipid, there is sphingolipids, steroids and waxes. While the sphingolipids are further divided into one is glycolipid, the second one is sphingomyelins. Now these are very simple, so you can see the different functional groups. So like alcohols. So here this is alkyl group, while this is alcohol, OH, or you can say phenol. And this one is carboxylic acid. So carboxylic acid, COOH, while this is alkyl group. And this one is ester. So carbon is attached with oxygen by double bond. And then oxygen, this and alkyl group is attached on both sides. Thank you so much for watching my lecture. Inshallah, I will continue my lecture, inshallah. So in next lecture, we will talk about the carbohydrates and its classifications and different type of activities, inshallah. We will discuss in our next lecture. So if you have any question regarding my lectures, so I'm always available for your services. I will share my email and through email, so you can contact me through my official mail. Okay, thank you.